This is a story of two well-known institutions in India's military architecture. One is the National Cadet Corps, or the NCC, and the other is that of Sainik Schools. Functioning under the Ministry of Defence, the NCC was established in 1948, while Sainik Schools were set up in 1961. Both these institutions were mandated to provide a ready pool of motivated youth willing to serve in the armed forces. This was part of the Defence Ministry's effort to create educational and physical training infrastructure that would motivate the country's youth to join the Indian Army, the Air Force and the Navy. But the report from the Comptroller and Auditor General, the CAG, recently tabled in Parliament has concluded that these two institutions have not been able to deliver well on their primary objective. The National Auditor's report says, and I quote, "Performance of NCC candidates and students of Sainik Schools in terms of their intake into the armed forces through the NCC Special Entry Scheme and entrance examination for the National Defence Academy, or the NDA, was below the targets envisaged, despite considerable number of candidates appearing for these examinations and interview. NCC C certificate holders are directly called for the Services Selection Board, or the SSB, in a special entry scheme for recruitment of officers to the Army, the Air Force and the Navy. Every year, the Indian Army reserves 110 posts, 100 for male and 10 for female candidates, for entry through the NCC Special Entry Scheme. The audit found out that in the period from 2019-2022, against the pass out of 282,000 cadets in the C certificate examination, 14,898 candidates appeared for the SSB exam, but only 289 candidates of the applicants were inducted in the Indian Army as officers. A report by the Standing Committee on Defence for 2023-24 also echoes the CAG's finding when it said, and I quote, "Despite the shortage of officers in the Indian Armed Forces, NCC has not given due weightage to train the cadets to become officers in the armed forces." On the other hand, the overall NDA intake from the 25 Sainik schools had declined from about 13.4% in 2019-20 to 10.57% in 2020-21, with reference to the total strength of class 12 against the target of 20% for each year. In the year 2021-22, 120 candidates could only join the NDA against a target intake of about 250 candidates. Thus, during the last 3 years collectively, the Sainik schools could achieve 9.70% success rate in the NDA, the National Auditor said in its report. Both the NCC and the Sainik schools are funded by both the central and the state governments. Let's look at the expenditures. The expenditures incurred on the NCC in the 4 years period from 2019-2023 was about rupees 8,768 crore, while the 33 Sainik schools spent rupees 670 crore for the same period. By way of recommendation, the CAG suggested higher funds and a better utilization, more participation of NCC cadets in training camps, better infrastructure and facilities, besides resolving the issues of required and trained manpower.